Mercedes. Now, how are you today, Mercedes? Nice to see you. First time for the year.
Yes, Happy New Year.
Indeed. And you're holding one of the surprise flowers. Well, it's a pineapple lily, but you know.
It is. Good girl. And I thought I'd start off with the year with something that looks like summer. So when you think of summer, you think pineapples.
You certainly do.
And pineapple lily.
Which is an odd thing to say because pineapple itself, even though it's not related to a pineapple, is not a lily, and this isn't a lily either because it's in the asparagus family.
Yes, and they're related to asparagus because if you look closely at the
stems, they look like asparagus stems.
They certainly do, but on steroids.
On steroids. They're super massive.
Yeah, and notice the difference between the one in my right hand and the one in my left hand of Mr. and Mrs. Pineapple Lily. The one in my left hand, as you can see, it's going a little bit south, and that's a sign of aging. So when it's strong and straight, it's a sign of youth, and when it starts to go south, it's aging. And they do age from the bottom up. So once your bloom starts to look transparent from the bottom, it certainly starts to work its way up and then looks sad. It needs a holiday. Cut the stem flush.
It's Mr.
It's Mr. and Mrs. And I want to touch on that. When it's Mr. and Mrs., it's because it's seed and bulb.
Yes. Okay.
So it does drop seed as it starts aging, and just collect them, dry them out, and then sow them.
Excellent. Okay. And I've grown a dwarf one this year, and I was most surprised because the bracts up the flower stem look so stunning. They look like jewels. And yeah, the one I know.
They're more spectacular when they're dwarf.
Yes, I think so.
Condensed.
And the tuft at the top, that's related in a way to why it's called eucomis, because that means something like pleasing hair of the head.
Yes.
Hair of the pineapple, I suppose.
Greek terms.
Yes.
Now, the lucky part of this beautiful cut flower is that it can last up to 28 days.
That's amazing.
Now, to achieve that, just recut the stems every second day. And because it's Mr. predominantly than Miss, because it comes first, more than shallow water in the vase, but keep your eye on it. As soon as it starts to look a little bit low, just top it up. And no flower food. Mr. and Mrs. Pineapple Lily don't like flower food. So remember that. Now, it also has a nickname, Pineapple Flower.
Oh, okay.
I think that's easier than Pineapple Lily.
Yes, because after all, it's not the lily after all. Yeah.
No. And
comes from South Africa.
Yeah, east.
The wettest parts. The wettest parts.
That's right, the wettest parts, indeed. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Pineapple Lily come with a message for our listeners. And him and her are going to talk here. So I'm here to bring you good luck where it's lacking in your life. My presence around your space will trigger your fortune to sprout. Oh, love that. And your wealth will expand, whether it is in health, love, career, family, or money. And you will never ever be bored showing off Mr. and Mrs. Lily, because if you're after attention, this is certainly the cut flower to have around you. Spectacular.
It is spectacular, and it's spectacular in the garden. I'm certainly going to, well, I hope my bulb reflowers, because I'm not going to dig it up. I'm just going to leave it in the ground, and hopefully the seeds from the flowers will resprout. Who knows? I'm not sure.
I'm very confident that they will. Now, you can dry pack these for 5 days. So if you're a gardener and you just want to cut them, and I'll worry about putting it in water tomorrow, you can have that attitude for 5 days.
Wow.
Yes. So if you're feeling lazy, think Mr. and Mrs. Pineapple Lily. You can dry pack them for 5 days straight, and then it's definitely in coma. Recut the stem, because once that's done, it starts bleeding, and in contact with water, it'll start shrinking.
Okay.
So males wear sneakers, and that's because when you slip on their heels, you're going to get that effect very, very soon, going south. They become a little bit tipsy, and we don't want that. We want them to be strong, tall, like the pommy soldiers
Oh, okay.
that guard the palace. Yeah, that's what we want.
Of course, yes. And the thing when they grow is they actually very attractive because they have their limey green leaves, but all the leaves are concentrated as a rosette at the bottom,
Yes.
and then the stem comes up through the centre. So it's makes a very attractive statement in the garden.
And speaking of colours, it also comes in white, and have you seen it in pink and burgundy?
I think I was growing the burgundy one.
They're outstanding,
Yes.
aren't they?
Mm.
And I feel they're more louder than the green ones that I've got here in the studios.
I agree.
Isn't
I've
it amazing?
had comments from passers-by. People take photos.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, if you're single and you want attention, grow Mr. and Mr. Pineapple Lily in your garden, and you might pick up at the front at your lawn. I might try that actually. Now, to wrap it up, the energetic properties. Mr. and Mrs. Pineapple Lily is like a sponge that sucks on energy. So make sure you've got really good energy around you. So positive energy is what we're thinking and what we're feeling. So what Mr. and Mr. Pineapple Lily do, they charge into that energy and they expand it. So if you're feeling good, you're feeling high, get these beauties indoors, whether it's your office, your home, and whatever you're feeling, Mr. and Mrs. Pineapple Lily will make that more.
Well, I hope that encourages people to grow more of these, because if you're ordering your spring flowering bulbs, these are on the list, and that's the ones that's when you should order the bulbs, and they'll come to you directly by post. Yeah.
So if you make the list, you're important, and Mr. and Mrs. Pineapple Lily have made the list.
Indeed.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Well, once again, Mercedes, thank you so much for coming in and talking to Real World Gardener.
Always a pleasure.